The reading for this lesson. Now, as usual, we usually take a look at the topic sentence of the reading, and that tells us what this reading passage is going to be about. In this case, there are many kinds of animals. That's the important part right here, many kinds, and that's what we're talking about in this lesson. Many different kinds or types of animals. So there are many kinds of animals. Some. When we talk about some, what are we talking about? We're talking, of course, about animals. Some animals. Some animals lay eggs, and some give birth to live young. So we have the two opposites here, right? Some give birth to eggs, right? Or some lay eggs, some give birth to live young. The two differences, the two main differences. Some, again, some have smooth skin and some have scales. So it's interesting. These sentences are constructed showing one type and the opposite type, right? So the next one, some have smooth skin, some have dry, scaly skin or have scales on their skin. Last sentence, again, same construction. Some live in the water and some live on land. Again, opposite. Some live in the water, some live on land. Okay, so it's very easily organized. These are these sentences are organized all the same way. And that's very good writing, by the way. They all follow the same pattern, and that's important. That's good. It helps us understand. Let's move on to, into the reading. We're going to talk about different types. So we talked about the different characteristics of different animals. You know, some live on land, some live in water. Now we're going to talk about the specific names of these different types of animals. A mammal is an animal with hair on its body. Okay? It gives birth to live young. So that's our first category. Remember, we're talking about 6 different categories. A reptile has dry skin and lays eggs. So that's the second one. And what are the characteristics of a reptile? It has dry skin, it lays eggs. It also has scales on the skin, but you know, those are 2 characteristics. Okay. Next category, fish. Fish. Where do fish live? They live in the water. What extra detail about the fish? Is there any extra details? Yes, they have scales on their bodies and they lay eggs also, just like reptiles. Okay. Amphibians have smooth, wet skin, and most lay eggs. Not all, but most amphibians lay eggs. So these are details about amphibians, okay? We have a couple more groups to go over. Bird. A bird is an animal with feathers on its body. Birds have wings. A bird has wings. Many animals have bones in their bodies, okay? Now this is kind of a sentence that's kind of going off talking about most animals. This part right here, of course, is just talking about birds, but starting from here, we say many animals. We get away from groups of animals. We're just making a general statement about most animals, or many animals, have bones in their bodies, because we were talking about bones before. Bones are hard and give an animal's body shape. We've got one more group of animals to talk about that don't have bones, and that's probably why we put bones in here, right? Because insects have 3 body parts, 6 legs. They do not have bones. Okay, so we put the information about bones before we put in insects, because insects are different from all other types of animals. They don't have bones. Instead, they have a hard shell on their body. Okay, so we have covered all of the different types of animals up to that point, and we finish up with a question: what kind of animals can you see every day? So think about it. In your everyday life, what kind of animals do you see every day? I'm sure you see mammals. Maybe you have a dog or a cat at home, but I'm sure you see your other family members and they are mammals. So you definitely see mammals every day. If it's not winter, you probably see insects every day, right? Running around outside in your garden, perhaps you probably see insects. You probably see birds too. Reptiles, maybe, maybe not, depending on where you live and how cold it is, what the temperature is like. Fish, do you see fish every day? And I'm not talking about the fish on your dinner plate. I'm talking about fish in the water, right? So maybe you see fish in the water, but probably most of us don't see fish, unless we have an aquarium at home and we have pet fish at home. So think about that. What kinds of animals, or what kind of animals, what types of animals do you see every day? Yeah, it's interesting to think about that. Okay, let's move on to this skill. Now,